1. I originally started working at my hotel as a laundry attendant, but after about 10 months I decided to start doing night audit. Front desk was understaffed and I felt like falling under the umbrella of housekeeping was miserable. The entire department is horribly toxic and unforgiving. I would actually cry after work because I was so stressed out. So when night audit opened up, I decided to try something new. So now I've been doing third shift for a few weeks. Well, obviously we're in hockey season right now, and there are children everywhere. I've worked through hockey season before, but I was just hiding back in the laundry room. Well, it's a whole new game now. I knew that the kids could be bad, and I knew the parents can be rude. But last night was a first-hand experience. My first hockey weekend at front desk. I come in at 11, and there are like 30 people in the lobby. They're loud as fuck, and quiet time was an hour ago. You can smell the alcohol the further into the building you get. Second shift dude is like hiding in the back office. You look like you're not having a very good time. I'm so over it, I'm so fed up with these people. Okay, well, it's quiet time now, and you know you've got to put your foot down. Yeah, but, I was out there, and I've told them. It was worse earlier. They quieted down a little, but I've already had a complaint from this old lady on the first floor. Yeah, because they're loud and obnoxious, of course, people are going to complain. It's the middle of the night. Then he informs me that all the kids are in their rooms playing video games and stuff, and that it really is just the parents that are out in the lobby. Just a bunch of full-grown adults being super loud, yelling over each other, acting like they're at a party or something. So we switch shifts and he leaves for the day. Now I'm at the computer trying to start my paperwork, and these people are actually screaming and laughing, and this one woman is yelling over everyone, telling a story to someone on the other end of the table. Some bitch is doing a drum roll on the table. 2 more are now literally racing to the public restroom. And then I've got this woman tripping over herself trying to get out of a chair. They've got 2 TVs going on high volume, and one TV is being yelled at because someone isn't passing a ball. The other TV is being laughed at intermittently, between loud stories about past hockey games, and someone's kid being taken off the ice by, "This little kid, he's not even a man. Why is he telling my son that they're pulling him off the ice? I mean, who does this kid think he is?" So I've got some time-sensitive shit to do. Then 11:40 rolls around. They're going through waves of normal and high volume. I start getting a headache, and all I can think about is my early birds that are going to come down for coffee at 5 a.m. So I go over to their tables and insert myself into their drunken circle. "Hey guys, hey!" It is almost midnight now, and it is well past quiet time. I understand that someone has already asked you to quiet down, and a guest has already complained about the noise. I need you to quiet down. "Oh, I'm so sorry. We understand. I'm sorry. We'll be more quiet." Yeah, okay, sorry. You're welcome to stay in the lobby if you would like, but I need you to tone it down for the sake of our other guests. You can stay down here as long as you can talk quietly. No, it's okay, yeah. She starts pushing her chair into an imaginary table, only to look over and then see that the table is on the other side of her. She then looks back at me and is still saying, "No, we understand, it's okay," and then lifts up the chair and puts it next to the actual table. "Thank you for understanding." "Okay, but so is there a place we can talk loudly then?" says one of the dads. "Where do we talk loud?" "Outside." Dads 2 and 3 both look at me like I've just offended their ancestors. Quiet time is 10 p.m. It is now 11:45. I have guests here who work construction. I have guests here who are working up at the hospital. All of them wake up around 4:30 to 5 in the morning. There are rooms above us, and there are rooms just down the hall. They can all hear how loud you are. They are trying to sleep, and you are going to keep them up. Dad 3 looked at me really weird, like super wide-eyed, when I said that. People wake up at 4:30 to 5? Yeah, man. We're mostly business, and these people have jobs to do. They aren't here to throw a party in the lobby and stumble over each other. This isn't a bar. WTF. Where do you think you are? After that, they seemed to take me as seriously as drunk people actually can. Serious, but not serious enough to be more self-aware. Like, sorry to break it to you, but the world doesn't revolve around you. I can absolutely kick you out of the lobby, and if you don't cooperate, then I can just kick you out of the hotel. Surprisingly, rules do apply to hockey parents. Even the cool ones, who leave 30 small children unattended on the 4th floor, so they can go chug beers in the lobby. Also, surprisingly, the children stayed in their rooms. I didn't see a single one on the hall cameras. I also didn't get a single noise complaint about any children. I didn't even so much as hear a child all night. It's just the damn parents living it up in the lobby and not giving a shit about anyone but themselves. And no, they didn't even go to the game yet. It wasn't a celebration. They haven't won anything. They have done nothing besides drive here and then get drunk. Or possibly got drunk and then drove here. Around 2 a.m. I still had a small group of parents in the lobby talking about stupid shit. Yeah, okay, Karen. The cop is totally an asshole for making you do a sobriety test when you've just confessed to swerving and speeding. Drunk as fuck in the middle of the night. He shouldn't have put you in the drunk tank, no. Definitely should have just let you keep driving until you kill someone. Then maybe a warning would be appropriate. Like, what a bunch of idiots.
Oh my god, I drank for 3 hours before I had to go into work, so I just said screw it and went to work drunk. He was such an asshole. He just wanted to feel good about himself. I wasn't even going that fast. I went over the line maybe twice and he pulled me over. It was such bullshit. And I was wearing perfume, and he said he smelled it, and he made me walk a fucking line. He made me walk the line one time, and I just really focused, and I made it almost the whole way, and he said something to me, and I was focused, and I stumbled. And he totally knew I was drunk, but if he wouldn't have said anything, just shut up and let me focus. Yeah, she pulled me over and I went through a stop, but I can't even remember. But she came up to the window and asked me to get out. And I don't even know why, because honestly, I don't think you could have been able to tell that I was unsteady, at all. I thought I was doing just fine, but she was obviously bored. She asked me a bunch of stupid questions, and I got confused, she said I was totally drunk, and I don't even get it. What kind of trick is that? Oh my god, I have that picture of JD on the hood of your car. I didn't even see him until he got out of your driveway. I cannot believe he climbed out there. Oh my god. I must have been so drunk, I just laughed my ass off. See, I don't even think it's that big of a deal. I corrected myself and he gave me shit anyway. There was no one else on the road. So yeah, I just really wish they would have gone outside. I have to deal with them again tonight. I hope they don't win the game. The fact that the first thing they did after arriving was immediately get drunk and ignore the children just means that if they have a reason to celebrate, then it's going to be even worse. I'm gonna go insane listening to their reasonable explanations as to why it's okay to drink and drive. These kids are doomed, and hockey game parents are a plague. Sorry, but I want to throw them all in the dumpster. 2. For context, I am an AGM at a fairly new build chain hotel that expressly caters to business travelers and families. We are situated within 20 minutes of the biggest roller coaster park in the country. And as such, we've been in our down season. By now, traveling sports team season has rolled around, and while for most part, it's been uneventful, issues with hot water resulting from initial build errors have stirred things up a bit. Most people are irritated but understanding, but has cost us some money and bad reviews. This past weekend, we hosted a few different groups, cheerleaders and dancers, and on Friday, the hot water issue reared its ugly head again, and we had some complaints. We gave discounts to those who asked, and by Saturday morning, we had resolved the issue once and for all. I was working front of house after our GM left, and received a call from guest relations about an in-house guest complaining about the water.
The rep spins me this incredible story about how the guest claims my GM told her that she wasn't going to get a discount because it affects her bonus. What? First off, no, it doesn't. Secondly, my GM would never, not in a million years, say anything even closely resembling that to a guest. And third, after checking her reservation, yes, she did get a discount. So I reiterated all this to the rep, who advised me that it was a hotel issue and that I needed to contact the guest directly. So I tried, twice, both cell and room, no answer. I called my GM and she was, in a word, pissed. Of course, she had never said that. However, she did remember talking to 2 other guests where she expressed the build issues and had said she wished she could bill the builder for lost revenue and her lost bonus money. Her reviews lower bonuses, obviously. Clearly, this woman heard the convo and decided to spin it to her advantage. So my GM calls the woman's cell and patched me in as a witness, but only received voicemail, left a message asking her to call back. 2 hours later, my GM calls me, literally losing her shit. The woman had called her back, proceeded to lie like a bad oriental rug, claiming she had never told guest relations anything of the sort, and that she was the team mom advocate, and just wanted to make sure corporate helped us resolve our water issues. Right, whatever. Anyway, GM assured her that she had been given her discount that morning, and that everything was resolved. Cool, fine, still a crazy bitch, but no longer our problem. Or so we thought. Sunday morning, I'm again on front desk and my GM calls, while I'm chatting with the front desk agent on shift and our head housekeeper. They could hear every single word my GM was screaming through the phone, all of us wide-eyed. We'd never heard her just completely come unhinged like this. Not yelling at me, just venting. Turns out crazy-ass team mom advocate took it upon herself to again complain to guest relations. This time spinning a yarn the brothers Grimm would have been proud to call their own. GM was rude as hell. GM lied to her about the water situation. GM cried on the phone, claiming she was going to be written up for all the problems. Turns out while on the phone with GM, she only complains that the traveling team group told her that her severely discounted rate included tax. It didn't, and that our rack rate was only slightly higher than the rate they were given. Also untrue. Their rate was around 110 bar. That was 150 for Saturday. This whole drama was engineered to essentially complain about her rate and get a comped room. All that bullshit was just drama to disguise her real goal. I immediately put her on the DNR list. But since they are in a pay-to-play league, they have to book at whatever hotel their group assigned. GM is talking to the people who arrange their team's lodging to let them know personally that she is no longer welcome at our property. And since we're close to a major indoor sports facility and convention center, that her kid will probably have to visit again. She is so screwed. Can't wait to see how this one plays out. 3. About 10 years ago, my father was a front desk clerk at a mid-sized hotel in the small Midwestern town we lived in. I was in time for a visit from college and had gone for a long walk that day. I decided to drop by his hotel on my way back home to say hello. No real reason for it, but it seemed nice. I was a fool, a mad fool. It was a slow day at the hotel. The town he lives in is a kind of town that has a lot of tourism a few days of the year, and only a scattering of visitors the rest of the time. And I stayed for more than a few minutes chatting with him and his co-worker in housekeeping that I knew. Right before I was going to leave, we heard a tremendous bang somewhere outside and the power went out. My father, the housekeeper, and I dashed to the front of the hotel to see what had happened. The transformer on the nearest electric pole had exploded, the electricity was gone, and it wasn't coming back anytime soon. My father took this moment to tell me that I would be helping him for a little while. The housekeeper, whose shift ended at this time, wished us luck and left. I should have run out the door with them. Moments later, like the characters in that Twilight Zone where the aliens cut the power, lumbered confused tourists down from their rooms into the darkened lobby. Their faces held a mix of confusion, annoyance, and worst of all, the notion that there was somebody to blame for what was happening. Unfortunately, despite not being electricians, that was my father and me.
What happened to the electricity?
They asked, with a tinge of fear in their voices, like they might have to endure without it for a while. Yeah, we don't know, my father replied in a typical warm, understanding tone. The emergency lights are on in the breakfast area if you want to sit there. Oh, we might even have TV there. The couple that asked this didn't respond. They just glanced at the breakfast area, looked back at us with a 1,000-yard stare, and then shuffled to the dimly lit room. This scene repeated itself about 5 times over the next 10 minutes, with only minor variations. Those variations tended to involve people thinking that the front desk clerk and his teenage kid moonlighted as electrical engineers and could restore the power in moments, if only we were complained at enough. And by God, those guests were going to try. The ones who took this route came up with surprisingly creative questions for people who don't know how specialization works, each more asinine than the last.
Why did it blow up?
If my dad knew, he wouldn't be in this line of work, lady.
Isn't there anything you can do about it?
If he could, he'd be doing it, mate. Do the other hotels have power? Perhaps you should ask them, pal.
Well, what are we supposed to do?
Whatever it is you want to do. I mean, you're visiting here, you must have some ideas. You decided to come to the lobby by yourself, so you clearly have some preferences. Luckily for us, one guest actually was an electrical engineer, and he was able to cool down some of the more Karen-type guests, who probably would have thought that we were fully responsible for the power outage otherwise. This didn't satisfy them, of course, but did shut them up, which was enough for me at the time. He was a rather nice guy, stuck around the whole time, and took the thing in stride. I wish I could say that for the others. My father took a moment's break from this to call the power company with a complaint about the transformer, and to ask when they might fix it. Now recall, we are a small town in the Midwest. For those of you who have never been in that part of the United States, there are tons of small towns that are on major highways, and yet are still no closer than 2 hours from any place that anybody from out of state has ever heard of or would consider visiting. We weren't quite a town like that, but we were close to one. The company told my father that the nearest person who could fix this problem was about 2 hours away in the nearest place worth living in. My father had been working at the desk for a bit by that point, and you could see that he understood what this meant for his afternoon as he hung up the phone. He then announced that news to the collection of confused guests huddling in the breakfast area, while assuring them that he and I would be around to help out however we could.
But what on earth can we do for 2 hours?
They collectively cried to the cruel god that had inconvenienced them. I presume that he was laughing his ass off at them. Well, it's about 4:30. You could try getting dinner downtown. The movie theater is probably still open, and it is a nice day for a walk, my father advised. Of the 10 or so people I recall being in the room, maybe 2 or 3 of them took these suggestions. The others were content to sit in the dark and watch whatever basic cable channel my dad had set the small overhead TV on. Around this time, the new guests began to arrive. The hotel was still dark as night and getting darker. With evening approaching, the sun was moving behind the bluffs and natural light was fading fast. I found myself drafted as a busboy, helping people in the dark. The room keys all still worked for whatever reason, but it was a tad treacherous getting around in some of the darker hallways without somebody helping you with your bags. Luckily for me, the new guests seemed rather understanding of the situation. Most of them went out to dinner or to see however they came to town to visit. But all was not well in the breakfast area, where the people who had good reason to visit this small Midwestern town could not manage to find a good reason to actually go do anything in it, then sit in a dim breakfast room for 2 hours. My father kept coming in to make small talk and reassure the guests, some of whom became increasingly cranky and snarly at my father's inability to make the power come back on. Some grumbled about how terrible it was that he didn't know when the power was coming back on. Others mused that they shouldn't have to pay full price for their rooms. Yet others complained about how only the breakfast area had emergency power. For whatever reason, they didn't seem to notice that I was standing right there as they went on about these things. Eventually, the electrician arrived, and he fixed the transformer in relatively short order. The power came back on, and the guests huddled in the breakfast area let out a cry that I imagine was similar to the ones the shepherds let out upon hearing their Savior was born that night in Bethlehem. The breakfast room cleared out in a hurry, and a few minutes later my dad's shift ended. As did the only time in my life when I helped run a hotel. The negative reviews of my father's actions, which you may recall were about all he could do without a degree in engineering, were swift and merciless. Highlights included how little information he had moments after the power went out, and how long the delay took, and other things that I am sure you can guess. He lasted about another month at the hotel, which put him on warning or something for a number of negative reviews he got, before leaving to work at a care center. As for me, I always think of it when I'm thanking a hotel clerk for their time. I tried helping once and know full well I can't do what you all do. So thank you. I hope you got a laugh out of this. 4. FDA at a chain hotel in the suburbs. It's the middle of the day and a guy walks in with a small luggage rolling behind him and a hoodie over his shoulder. He immediately comes in jumping around, cursing loudly, making various sounds, the most common being a combination of a pig snort and clearing his throat, and just being fidgety in general. My first thought was that this guy was on drugs, not uncommon at all here. He comes up to me and asks if I can keep an eye on his luggage while he goes to the gas station right next door to get some food. Sure, no problem. 30 minutes pass, no sign of the guy. I'm texting my manager asking what I should do. He obviously can't control his constant outbursts of cursing and nonsense, so I thought checking him in would be a bad idea. My manager said I shouldn't refuse him a room because he could have Tourette's, and that would be discrimination. Fair point. He comes back in, sporadic and loud like he was before, and asks me if he can pay for the room with cash. Sure, but the $50 per night incidental hold has to be on a card, I tell him. He seems to be fine with this, but his actual coherent sentences are mixed in with swears and miscellaneous noises. I ask for his cell phone number. He goes in his phone to get it. A minute passes, he looks up and goes, "So you need something from me?" "Yes, sir. A cell phone number, please." "Okay, yeah, my bad, I forgot." Another minute, we make eye contact for a second or two. "Oh, damn, man, my bad. I'm over here playing a game on my phone, I keep forgetting." Finally, he gives me a cell phone number. I'm thinking, okay, that's one small victory so far. He then asks if we have an ATM, at which I point him in the direction of it down the hall. He comes back a minute later, asking how to get to his room. I tell him I haven't checked him in yet. He asks why not. I tell him I haven't received payment. He says, "Oh, I didn't give you cash?" "No, sir. I pointed you in the direction of the ATM, but I guess you didn't take cash out." "My bad." And walks back towards the ATM, hootin' and hollerin'. This happens about 3 times. At this point, I'm genuinely concerned. He's sweating and breathing heavily throughout this entire experience, and seems very distraught and disoriented. I ask him if he's okay, and he tells me he just got back from the hospital after suffering a serious head injury. I tell him to go get a drink from the water fountain nearby. At this point, I'm about to tell him I don't feel comfortable checking him in. He doesn't seem of sound mind and body to check himself into a hotel and spend a decent chunk of money. I guess he never made it to the ATM either, because he's now asking if he can just do RT and incidentals all in his card. No problem. Card reader beeps twice, meaning it declined. He asks if he can pull from his savings account from the card instead of checking. "No, sir, sorry. There's no way to do that." "Okay. Can you do credit from this?" "You want me to take credit from your debit card?" "Yeah, could you?" "No, sorry." He then wanders around some more and ends up outside, pacing around, making phone calls, and generally appearing distressed. Guests are either laughing at him or looking upset at me, like I'm the cause of him to act this way. I'm now thinking about the cops getting involved, but I really hate getting the police to help with mental health things. He's obviously not lucid, and I don't trust the officers to handle the situation appropriately. He seems like a polite guy, and my gut doesn't say he has any ill intent. He just wants a room for the night. that he's having a hard time right now. I ask my co-workers in the kitchen on their thoughts of what to do, and they all just say to call the cops on him. And that is not our problem. On paper, they're probably right, but I'm feeling sorry for this dude. So I walk out front and ask him if he's okay. He gets panicky and paranoid. He probably thinks I'm trying to kick him out, but I just want to know how he's doing at this point. He says he doesn't have any money in his checking, so he's waiting on his girlfriend to drive over and give him his credit card. I ask him if she would be more comfortable checking in with him and helping him up to the room, since I want to make sure he's okay. He gives a big sigh of relief and says, "Oh man, this whole time I thought you were trying to get me out of here, man. I'm so used to people not putting up with me and thinking I'm an inconvenience. Thank you, man." We fist bump. His girlfriend comes. He's chilled out a little at this point, but still chirps the occasional animal sound and mumbles a curse word. I get him checked in, with his credit card, direct to his room, and tell him to have a good night and stay safe. All seems well. Still, I have a clawing feeling that something is going to go wrong. I put him at the very end of the hall on our top floor and made sure to put guests far away from him. It's a slow Wednesday night, so it wasn't much trouble to separate him from other guests. But I feel like if something goes awry, it will reflect poorly on me. Everybody else's call at the hotel was to kick him out, and I took a chance on him. Should I have handled it differently? Have you guys dealt with anything similar? How'd it go after? My heart says I did the right thing as a human, but my gut says I did the wrong thing as a front desk agent. 5. I like my GM as a person, but not as a boss. At this point, I'm not sure what to do. She is a super nice person, but as a boss, she is horrible, as in she doesn't do anything. I'm always having to chase after her in order to do my job. Everyone else goes to work at normal business hours, but not her. She goes to work at whatever time it pleases her, whether it's at 10:30 a.m. or 1 p.m. or even 3 p.m. sometimes. She doesn't even go to work and doesn't say a word to any of the staff. When she's super late or doesn't want to work, she always has a crazy story that something happened to her. But yet she never gave anyone a heads up. She's become a joke among the managers, obviously behind her back managers talk. But everyone always makes jokes at what time she will come today, or if she will even show up to work. Guests complain all the time that she is never available and never returns the phone calls or messages or emails to almost anybody, including guests and employees. She always says she's going to do something, but rarely gets to it and doesn't do it and forgets about it. I am not the only one who feels that way, as everyone else sees it. It's just frustrating that I have to pick up her slack, especially when she gets paid way more than I do. Not fair. Now, the last part is that she has been caught hanging out outside of work with another employee. But what she doesn't know is that one employee saw her and him at the grocery store on a weekend afternoon, and everyone suspects that she is involved in a romantic relationship with the part-time night audit that works 1 or 2 days a week. It's so rare that my GM works super late, except when this guy, the night auditor, works, so it's obvious that she wants to spend time with him at work too. There have been several instances when guests complain that my GM got super defensive and rude when someone tried to mistreat this particular night auditor, so she obviously defends him. I like her as a person because she is very nice and always brings us snacks or drinks like milkshakes or tea or coffee and likes to joke around. She is super funny too with her jokes. So yeah, I like her, she is pleasant, but it's overwhelming working with a boss like her. If she was my co-worker, I'd love her to death, but I'm sure she would have been fired by now. Lastly, I'm aware that messing with a GM can be a scary situation for my employment, but I am seeking advice on what to do. Should I just quit my job and mind my own business? Or should I report her? I honestly can say I'm qualified to do her work, and I hate to work under someone who is so irresponsible and such a carefree person. Thank you for your time. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 86. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do share it with all your friends and family, and all the many enemies you've crushed beneath your heels if you've gone through life. Or something like that. Okay, no shoutouts today, but we will have a Hellfreezer's question of the day, and we're going to keep it simple. coffee in a cardboard cup and whatever else you want to put it in. Now, if you're going to one of the fancy coffee places, Starbucks, Costa, there are possibly other places whose names I'm not remembering right now. Doesn't matter, it's fine. What's your to-go order? For me, I only go into those places when the weather's really hot, and we're kind of heading toward hot weather now here, and it's actually sunny today. Believe it or not, it's sunny today. Although also windy, somehow. Anyway, I usually get a caramel macchiato, or something with something fruity with crushed ice in it, to cool me down. What do you like to get? Leave your answers in a comment below. Okay, I think we're done now. Finally, we're done with the outro. It only took me about 30-40 minutes. Okay, anyway. Calm Freezer, happy Hellfreezer, a little ball of fur. And with that, I'm going to head off. I'm not doing any more retakes. No, okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.